Okay, welcome to Dictate Boxing. Today I want to talk about Josh Kelly's world title winning performance against the boogeyman at 154 pounds, Bakhram Murtazaliev, on the weekend in Newcastle. Obviously, that was just a few hours before the big one at MSG in New York between Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez. If you want to go and listen to the review on that fight, go back and give that a watch. But first, stay and watch this one because what a performance, what a win from Josh Kelly. A lot of doubters going into that fight for Josh Kelly. A lot of people forgetting how talented he was for some reason. I get it. Obviously, the most avoided man at 154 pounds was the outstanding favourite going into it. But I think just the complete dismissal around Josh Kelly and complete memory loss for the fact that he was a former Olympian, someone that's been training with Adam Booth for a long time and is now quite an experienced fighter, someone that's lost against David Avanesian, someone that drew against Ray Robinson at MSG many years ago and is now entering his prime, now at 154 pounds, no longer 147 pounder. And a well-deserved win. But listen, we'll get into that in a minute. But first I want to talk about Teofimo Lopez, who has come out last night and confirmed that he will be moving to 147 pounds, obviously the welterweight division, to compete there after his defeat against Shakur Stevenson. And I think a lot of us kind of expected that to happen. I still feel like we might not see him for a couple of years. I just have that feeling. I've seen a couple of the interviews he's done and he just looks so down. I've seen the interview with his dad. Again, I don't want to sit here and spend a minute, even more than that, talking about his dad. But just, yeah, you know, go watch them interviews yourself. And there's a lot of options for him at 147 pounds. I think the obvious name we eventually want to see him fight against is obviously Devin Haney. But I think a lot of us would like to see Shakur fight Devin Haney. Brian Norman Jr., not a world champion, but still might be a good gatekeeper for the 147 pound division. Obviously, the winner of Barrios Garcia, that might be an option. I know Conor Benn obviously wants the winner of that, but it still could be an option. Lewis Crocker, that's an option. I know Keyshawn Davis is talking about fighting Lewis Crocker, but listen, what if Keyshawn goes and beats Lewis Crocker and then welcomes Teofimo Lopez to 147 pounds? I don't know. But first, I want to read out this stat that I've seen since the fight between Shakur and Teo, and it's crazy. Right, so listen to this. Lopez averaged just 6 landed punches per round and missed nearly 85% of everything he threw across 12 rounds. What are we doing? How can your defense be that good? How can that be the case in a championship fight? And by the way, that's no shade on Teo. I think that happens to anyone. It's more of just praise and props to Shakur Stevenson. I think sometimes people will do this thing where they'll drag down the opposition instead of just giving the props to the guy who's gone in and made that happen. Look, listen to this one. Punches landed. Shakur Stevenson, 44.4%. Teofimo Lopez, 15.4% across 12 rounds. And so Shakur Stevenson threw 372 punches. He landed 165. Teofimo Lopez thrown 468 punches, landed just 72. Crazy stats. And yeah, it just goes to show the defensive skills of Shakur Stevenson, the distance control of Shakur Stevenson, and to do that in a fight of that magnitude, just utter props and flowers go to Shakur Stevenson for that performance. But anyways, let's get into the main part of the video. Josh Kelly, now a world champion, now one of 6 British world champions in boxing. Just, 1 month in to the new year, and we've seen 2 new world champions in the UK. Obviously, Dalton Smith being the first to start the year off, and now Josh Kelly against Bakhram Murtazaliev, and what a performance. Now, I'm just going to say from the start, I'm not one of these that are falling into the camp of saying, oh, Josh was running, oh, that weren't entertaining. For me, I thought that was a masterful performance. To go in there against the boogeyman, someone so avoided at 154 pounds, and to box with such confidence and such swagger in moments. And at the end of the day, yeah, he could have been more aggressive. He could have let his hands go a little bit more. But against a puncher like Bakhram, and for it to be a world title fight, just get the win. It doesn't matter how you get there, just get over the line. I mean, it's like winning your first Premier League title. It doesn't matter how you win that title, just get over the line. And that's exactly what he done. I think he looked really good in moments. He really outclassed Bakhram in certain moments. And yes, Bakhram caught him. That was always going to happen. And I think, if anything, it shows that Josh Kelly, you know, the doubt around his mentality going into this fight, he completely shut them doubts down, because he got up off the canvas. I think he showed the composure as well when he got hit with that heavy left hook. Went down, got up on his knee, and instead of rushing to his feet, he took his time, he stood up, and whenever Bakhram came in to finish it, he just grabbed him. And so in those situations, he did show experience. And I think you would kind of expect that now. I mean, Josh Kelly's now entering his prime, so you would expect him to have the experience in those sort of situations. We knew going into this fight the talent of Josh Kelly, but my thing is, like, just the complete dismissal around Josh Kelly doing anything in this fight. No one gave him a prayer. And I said going into it, look, I had Bakhram as the favourite. I'm not going to try play wise after the event. Bakhram, I thought he was going to win. But nonetheless, I was very insistent on the potential chances of Josh Kelly winning this fight. And just the way people completely forgot about the talent of Josh Kelly. And the fact that he was a former Olympian, someone that's come through with Adam Booth. Been with Adam Booth for a long time now. But remember, all those years ago, Adam Booth was coming out and saying, you know, Josh was the most talented boxer he's ever trained. Bearing in mind, he trained the likes of Ryan Burnett, a former world champion. David Haye, we know about David Haye. You know, when Josh was at 147 pounds, coming through at Matchroom, and all the talk around him versus Conor Benn potentially taking place, everyone was saying, no, Conor Benn should not be anywhere near the same ring as Josh Kelly. And kind of rightly so at that point. And I'm pretty sure at the time, Eddie Hearn probably felt like, no, I'm not putting them two in the same ring together, because the difference of level is just so wide. Look at Conor Benn now. I mean, just watch the reaction from Shakur Stevenson after beating Teofimo Lopez. He jumped on the ropes, and the first thing he'd done was look over at Conor Benn, called Conor Benn into the ring. Like, I mean, that's the pull that Conor has now. He would most certainly right now be the A-side fighting Josh Kelly. Bearing in mind, Conor Benn's never won a world title. And if we want to sit here and really dissect the technical ability of Conor Benn, I don't want to, because I'm a big fan of Conor Benn. But the fact that Conor Benn's where he is now, and Josh Kelly, remember the narrative between them two all those years ago, and to go into this fight and completely dismiss Josh Kelly's chances of beating Bakhram, I think people's memories were very, very short. And so I'm not utterly surprised, like a lot of other people are. And look, I've just mentioned Conor Benn's name there. That's still a massive fight that could take place. It is. I know a lot of people are talking about Boots versus Josh Kelly. I think that's probably the fight they'll make. From what I've read, the reason Josh then signed back up with Matchroom was to end up eventually making that fight against Boots. So I'm going to assume that's probably going to be a stadium filler in Sunderland at some point. The Stadium of Light is what they're talking about. So a massive, massive fight, a massive, massive test. Again, Josh will be heavily doubted going into that fight, but I don't think you can doubt him anymore. Whether or not you think he's going to win this fight against Boots, that's fine. That's your opinion. But you can't doubt his chances of pulling off an upset anymore, because Josh Kelly shouldn't be an outstanding underdog going into any fight. You know, the amateur pedigree, being a former Olympian, someone with the fast hands that he's got, someone with the flashiness that he's got, with the footwork that he's got, the defensive skills and head movement that he's got, and he showed a bit of power. And obviously a bit of heart, like I mentioned before. So, yeah, I think the perspective and the narrative around Josh Kelly now has changed, and I think rightly so. It should change back to how it should be. Obviously, he was a fighter who came through with a lot of potential, kind of failed at some point. I mean, it was only a few months ago he was fighting on Friday nights on Channel 5 for the Sauerland brothers against people we'd never heard of. All of a sudden, he's in there against a killer like Bakhram, beats him, and now he's a fully fledged world champion. And sometimes, look, a lot of people were talking about the Ishmael Davis performance. Sometimes you just need to be given the opportunity on the big stage. Sometimes you can drop your level. You can. We've seen that with Josh Kelly. We've seen that with a number of fighters. And then when they go in there in a massive fight, they raise that level. And that's exactly what Josh Kelly done. And he fully deserved that win. I thought he boxed really well in moments. And I think what done it for him, obviously the knockdown earlier on, and then later on, what was it, the final round? It was the final round when he spun Bakhram into the corner, and the camera was perfectly placed for Bakhram to come flying into the camera. Spun him round and started hitting him with a flurry of shots, and that won him that final round. And that was enough for me. You know, it was a tight fight. It was a majority decision, wasn't it? So, yeah, it was a close one. And he deserved it, in my opinion, and was very happy to finally see Josh Kelly fulfill the potential of him going on and becoming a world champion, and he is now that now. So, yeah. very happy. We'll discuss later on, you know, what could potentially take place next for Josh Kelly. I think we all have a sneaky feeling it's going to be that Boots fight though, isn't it? We know how much Eddie Hearn loves Boots as well. He's been screaming from the rooftops about him being the best at 154 pounds. I think that's going to be the fight, isn't it? Kind of a little bit unfair, but maybe it's not unfair for Josh Kelly. Maybe that's the fight he wants. So yeah, we're going to leave it at that. Guys, make sure to go follow Dictate Boxing on every other platform. Links are down below, but just search up Dictate Boxing on whatever social media platform you're using and give us a follow. Like this video and subscribe to Dictate Boxing as well. And we will speak very soon.